Hello and welcome. I'm Clueless Mike and you're watching Modelling for Advantage. So today we have quite an exciting unboxing coming up. We have in my lap, I'll try and pick it up and show you, it's very heavy, Kill Team Hivestorm. So this is the new massive 3rd edition Kill Team set. Now, I was unsure exactly how I was going to approach this video. Sometimes I open stuff up in advance, have a look through or read online, get other people's opinions to make mine a bit more informed. But I decided, as I know very little about this, that I would just do it completely off the cuff. I'm going to open it up, live reactions of exactly what's inside, because I have real no clue what is inside this ginormous box, other than there's a couple of 40k kits. So let's see exactly what Kaiser has sent over to me. Okay, here we have the box in all its glory. Let's get the lid off. As I say, this is a very large box. This is kind of like bigger than 40k starter box territory. Wow, look at the amount of plastic we are getting in there. Okay, I'm going to take out various bits. These look like Vespid sting wings. And then these bad boys, which are the star of the show for me, are the new Tempestus Aquilons. One thing I love about this kind of starter set is that we have some gorgeous plastic scenery. I mean, Games Workshop scenery is very expensive. We all know that. The MDF stuff that you can buy is much, much cheaper. But it is not as nice. God, there is a lot of scenery in here. So that is a big old stack of scenery. So I'm just going to put those down to the side here. Hopefully you won't forget to come back to them. Then we have a nice bit of a divider by the looks of it. One of the things I really like that they do in their boxes, because they know that it's really big, sharp plastic scenery, they put something in between the soft rulebooks and stuff and the actual models that could hurt it. So let's open this up. I thought so. This is the board. Comes in this nice little folder to protect it. So let's get that out of the way as well. And we'll have a quick open up of the board. I'm going to stand up, see how well this goes onto the camera. I mean, it just fills up the camera. So this is one of their standard size boards that they make nowadays. I can't remember exact dimensions of them, but they are just the standard, I think they call it, a Kill Team size board. But it looks like you could probably use it as it sits flat. You could fold it out to use it as 2 pieces, fold it out as 4 pieces. If you've got one of the other very similar compatible boards, you can put multiple of them down together on the table and just use them all together to make an even bigger battlefield if you want to. But that looks nicely detailed and actually folds away nice and flat, which is good. So what else do we have in the bottom of this box? It's one of these weird boxes that has these little flaps to hide stuff in. We've got a little white parcel there. We'll have a look at that in a second. Let's open up what's on this side. Oh, we have bases. Fold that away and then think, oh, blimey, is this the rulebook in here? That is a chunky rulebook for a small game like Kill Team. Let's have a see. It might be more than one book. I think we're still missing cards should be in this box. So we have Kill Team core book, paperback. Fine with that. I prefer to pay a cheaper price for a rulebook and have it be paperback than a hardback book that you end up throwing away in a few years anyway. We all know how it works. This is the dossier. We're going to have a better look through these books shortly. What else do we have in here? Loads of stuff in here. This looks like the assembly booklet, everyone's favourite. Tokens. I'm a big board gamer as well as, well, I'm a big gamer of every type. But I really like board games, and this always reminds me of that, punching out all the tokens. Loads of different tokens here. Looks like we have wound tokens, maybe Overwatch tokens, all kinds of stuff. So 2 sheets of tokens. We are still going. We have Ops cards here. 2024, this is because they're intending to do seasons of this game, so they'll no doubt bring out a different pack for each year. But I like the seasons mechanic, or the seasons model. This is just to space out the stuff inside, so we'll get this out of the way as well. Get this down and done. And then I think that box is done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that box over there so I can look at the back of it as I go through this, because it'll tell me the proper names of stuff. So let's get to the miniatures first of all, because for me, a miniatures game is, well, it's about the miniatures. So we have these bases here. There's one larger base in here, 140mm. The rest of them look like they're probably, my gamer's eye tells me they're 28.5mm bases. With the new annoying base size, they put more armoured humans on. So your basic human, I think, still goes on to like a 25mm base. But things like aspect warriors, scions, that kind of thing, have moved up to the slightly bigger base size. I understand why they do it. The model does look better when it's got more room on the base, but it is annoying for those of us who want to keep up with the tournament stuff and to make sure that we have all the right basing. I was rebasing my Blood Angels earlier this week, and I noticed that my Dante model is now on his 4th different base size. Okay, we have some very simple dice in there. Glad to see that. I like normal dice. I don't particularly like these games that come with the bespoke dice that you need to use that have different symbols on. Your D6 works perfectly fine. I'd like them to introduce some other dice types, but I don't think they're going to be doing that anytime soon. So let's move on to the Aquilons. So these are the stars of the show. These are kind of like the Tempesta Scions, but they come with, I'm not sure they're actual jump packs. They're more kind of like anti-grav packs, drop suit packs, something like that, because I'm not sure they get to jump around at super speed when on the table, but they get to deep strike in, which is, in Kill Team, is going to be a really powerful mechanic, I'm guessing. In 40k, these things are unbelievably good. They are the best unit in the game, possibly. They get to deep strike in during your opponent's turn if they need to. They get to deep strike in at 3 inches. They get to shoot as soon as they arrive. They are just phenomenal for their points. I think they're only 90 points for 10, so 9 points a model. Looking at these are super detailed. You can see all the guns, loads of different head options on here. Always like to see this. In particular, there is the helmeted heads and then unhelmeted and beret heads. I know a lot of people like the beret hats on some of these. I suspect, I don't know for certain, that these are reasonably mono pose. It's nice to see that all 10 of them come on those sprues. It's not 2 sprues with the same thing on each, so you're kind of like doubling up on a 5 set. This looks like it's a full 10 set, so each one will be different. I know there are special weapons you can take, and like a lot of the Kill Team teams, there's lots of kind of like special options, like you can take a dude with 2 guns, you can take a dude with a bomb, you can give different close combat weapons to the sergeant, that kind of thing. There's also a little servo sentry turret in here. Let's see if I can find the bits for him. I think these bits are over here, who gets to drop in and he gets a much bigger gun. He gets either a multi-laser type thing, a decent flamer or a grenade launcher, and he gets to come in and he basically adds to the firepower of the unit. Really fun kit. I should definitely be picking some of these up myself because I like the models and I really like the rules in 40k. How good they are on Kill Team, I couldn't tell you, but I shall find out. So that's those. Really nice. Next up, we have the replacements for a very old Finecast kit. So these are the Vespid Stingwings for the Tau Empire. So these are alien auxiliaries. They are armed with blast. So they've always been an okay unit in terms of 40k. They're always fast, fragile, and with quite good firepower. And I don't think they change much at all. What the new kit does over the old one is, first of all, much nicer models, much better variety of poses, and obviously you don't have to work with Finecast or, in the older cases, metal. But what it also does is there are new weapon options to give them. Like you can see they now have a larger sniper type rifle, a bigger kind of blaster cannon, various things like that, like they do with most kits. They like to make it so your old kit is still usable, which I appreciate, but they also like it so their new kit has extras in it, so that if you want to utilise the unit to the full, you need to buy the newer kit. And I fully understand that. That's a business model, and hey, if it works, it works. It looks like a lot of these come with tactical rocks. Now, Your opinion on those will likely vary. I'm not a huge fan. Depending on how you like to base your models, a tactical rock can look really out of place. Say Johnny B, for instance, he likes to base his models on see-through perspex discs. When the model has little terrain bits attached to them, doesn't look so good on those bases. If you're doing just a standard city base, then these are all going to fit brilliantly and actually add to it. But not a big fan of the tactical rocks myself. Other than that, these look really detailed. These are the bodies of them, so they look like proper insects. They've got a much greater big thorax on there. Multi-limbed, loads of different weapons and such on here. This looks like a really nice kit looking at them close up. Very similar heads all along. I mean, obviously when you're making an insect head, there's not that much variety to go about. And obviously similar with wings there. But another lovely kit, and also a great replacement to an old Finecast kit. None of us will be sad to see the back of Finecast. I still don't mind a metal model per se, but Finecast is just a horrible substance to use. Okay, now this is probably where the bulk of the price of the box is coming from. And in a small game like Kill Team, having a full table of nice terrain really is super important. Because it's compacted down, you really want a decent amount of terrain. And this, I mean, looking at the picture on the back of the box, this will be showing just stuff. There we go, a bit of an avalanche. This will be showing just stuff that's in the box. And this completely fills up that board that I showed you. So this is a lot of terrain here. So let's have a closer look at it. Blimey. Look at the amount of skulls down here. I don't know if that can be picked up on the camera. I shall move it a bit closer and hope. That is a lot of skulls, like a corn altar maybe, who knows. It looks like it's standard destroyed Imperial City, although it's got slightly more sloped walls, so it might be kind of like a more bunker type thing. Some additional stuff in here, though, that I haven't seen in this type of kit before is there are these barbed wire bits. These look really good. Looking at the back of the box, they look to be freestanding, so you can use those to position anywhere on the battlefield, just to kind of like block off lines of movement, that kind of thing, without blocking line of sight, I suspect. You've also got, look at this, you've got a really nice smoke grenade there. So I suspect there might be rules in the game for deploying smoke grenades. It looks like here you've got kind of like comms units. You've got movable kind of like shields that you could use to block areas. Looks like there's a load of scatter terrain, particularly on this piece. Again, these here just look like they're standalone walls provide cover. You've got ladders there, fire extinguishers, a load of mines even. Look at these. Mine. This is a great bit of kit, this. I would not mind picking some of this up just as scatter terrain for a standard 40k battlefield. Really nice. So that is just the first bit of terrain we're looking at there. Let's continue a bit deeper. This looks like more like an actual piece. This looks to be the interior. Oh no, this is the interior, and these are the walls and floor sections. Judging by the looks of it, it looks like it can only really be built in one particular way. This piece, that is, looks like it is the end piece of a building. This floor looks like it slots in exactly on that level there. And then these pieces look a bit destroyed. I'm not sure what they're for. I suspect they clip in at the bottom for it to stand up, but I couldn't say for certain until looking at the thing. So maybe not quite as modular as some of the previous city kits that we've come across. Similar piece here. These look cool, kind of like big vats or fuel tanks to go along the side. This one looks a little more modular because it doesn't have the floor that locks in place. I suspect this is freestanding on the floor with no second story. Whether you can model it, kind of like combine multiple together, I'm not so certain. But it looks really nice anyway. Freestanding bit there. Yep, very nice. More similar here. This looks a bit more modular. You got a corner piece and a straight piece of floor. I'm hoping that you could then mod these together if you wanted, but I suspect because this fills up a kill team table, building it as the instructions say will probably give you a nice outcome anyway. So that's those. I'm looking to see if any of these are repeated. So far they're not, which is I really like. One of my bugbears is having the exact same thing in multiple places on the battlefield, whether it's in your army or on the table as terrain. Everything should look even slightly different, just to give it a bit more verisimilitude, shall we say. Over here, this looks like another L-shaped ruin of some sort. This one could well be a bit of a barricade. Doesn't look like it clips in per se with the two bits on the same sprue. Going to be interesting to look at the assembly instructions for these. Aha, what we got here, some more lovely scatter terrain. I'm really into the scatter terrain here. Brings your battlefield to life. So here you've got a big mound of rubble. I mean, you'd think to yourself, that's not particularly useful, but actually it's a really nice looking mound of rubble, and it really brings a ruined city to life. There would be a pile of rubble somewhere. You've got similar pieces here. It's kind of like a broken window that's fallen out of the building. Bit of kind of like cross beam fallen down there. Really nice. Onto this piece. This looks like more kind of like just standard walls and such. I'm going to double check to see if that is a repeat of the previous piece. Yes. No, it's not a repeat. It looks similar. If I put those both down like that, they're obviously very similar buildings, but they're actually different and differently laid out on the sprue. Brilliant. Like that a lot. Yep, there aren't any repeated pieces in there, which to me is super important, as I said. So really nice looking terrain. There's a lot of plastic gates on the side of this terrain. This would take quite a lot of prep to get ready to go. But once you've assembled it, and they're big pieces, so once you've cut them out and if you like filing off the pips, that kind of thing, then they won't take very long to glue together. And terrain is one of the easiest things to paint up to an acceptable gaming standard that you'll ever find. I mean, if you're a bit intimidated by the sheer amount of kind of like plastic that's on a piece of terrain, I've made an entire 6x4 city board up, and it took me very little time. Just spray it black, get your favourite dry brush out, and use a great big dry brush. You can use kind of like a, I find that makeup brushes are an excellent way of doing large pieces of terrain. And don't use Citadel paints or even Army Painter paints, anything like that. You can go to Wilco or one of the DIY shops and pick up a couple of small sample pots of the colours you want to use. Use your big makeup brush, dry brush, straight over the side of the terrain after you've sprayed it black, and it will be done in literal kind of like a couple of hours, and you'll get 2 free coats of different colour dry brushes on the whole thing. It will look perfectly good. You can then go in, use some metallics to pick out some of the elements, and it will be a whole workable set of terrain in very few hours, and believe me, you'll be really pleased with the results. So let's have a quick look. We're going to look at the assembly book first, because I'm a bit intrigued as to how that terrain actually goes together. So in here, what have we got? Just going to double check that the camera is nicely pointed on this. It appears to be so. Using a slightly new camera setup today for an overhead look. So we have the Tempestus Aquilons, and it shows here, this is quite nice at the start, it's showing all the different build options you've got. So it shows you can have various close combat weapons, then you've got different special weapons. I was correct in thinking that special weapons do indeed go on the same model. You can put 3 different guns on the little turrety thing, and then there's a couple of other specialists you can do as well. So that's it. As always, the glorious Games Workshop assembly instructions. You pay your money for Games Workshop stuff, but it is very nice, good plastic, and really clear, nice instructions. The colour coding is great to let you see what to glue, if you don't need to glue something, where your different options are, that kind of thing. So the Tempestus Scions look to have, or the Tempestus Aquilons look to have a load of options. Massive customization in that squad. So I'm interested to see how much customization there is in the Vespids though, because it looked like there was a couple of different weapon options, but I'm not sure what else. So they do similar here, which is quite nice, breaks down the different things. It looks like you can take a flamer, grenade launcher and a rail rifle. The rest of them look like there isn't really much customization other than that. You've got the leader guy, and then it's just saying claws. And you get a little drone in there, though. I hadn't spotted that one, so that's quite nice. An extra little drone they get to use. And looking at the back of the box, it's an oversight drone. Who knows what that does? And then looking through, you can see the assembly looks to be maybe 4 or 5 pieces base for each Stingwing plus the guns. But as expected, there aren't that many options to go on them. You can see the instructions are far quicker there for those. And there's not many different colours showing different options. It's just this bit to that bit, but they don't appear to have that many options so well. What can you do? The joys of being a Imperium soldier, I suspect. Okay, here we go, onto the terrain. So this is showing us, yeah, it looks like stuff needs to go together how it's planned to go together. Obviously, if you're a modeler, you could cut and paste it however you want, but it looks like it's made to go with the exact pieces as designed. Yeah, so the floor piece is designed to directly interact with the different wall pieces. They're all the exact measurements and such. I don't think they're designed to be able to be made in different ways. That's okay when you've got one set. If I was getting multiple sets of these, then I'd probably want to look into trying to make different types of ruins out of them. Yeah, it looks like you get maybe 4 main buildings. Let's have a quick look. 1, 2, 3, 4 main buildings out of that, and then you get a couple of kind of like just standard little right angle walls, and then you get all of this scatter terrain, which is really nice. I'm hoping I might be able to find somebody on eBay who's selling this little spruce separate, because I'd really like that to spruce up my city terrain. So that looks really nice. To me, the terrain is the star of this set. Shows it all painted up there. They've sprayed it black and then dry brushed it all grey, I suspect. And then they picked a load of stuff out with the gold that really gives a bit of a pop to it. Depends how grungy and grimdark you want it to look. I'm still not exactly sure. Those 2 pieces with skulls on are the measuring gauges. I'm just going to grab those out again so we can have another little look at them. Here we go. So these 2 bits here are the 2 measuring gauges. Now, one thing I was going to get to is that this is the 3rd edition of the game. So the 1st edition of Kill Team came out and it was basically a way to play 40k light. You took units from 40k, you took rules from 40k with some alterations to them, and you played it like that. Then the 2nd edition came out and it was its own bespoke rules. And one of the most famous rules from that, and one that really affected the popularity of the game, I know myself, one of the reasons I didn't play it was because of how they handled ranges in the game. They got rid of using numbers for ranges and they brought in symbols. So you'd have a gun that would have range of triangle. A normal person would think range of triangle, that probably means 3. But no, they didn't line up the number of sides on the shapes to the number it was, and I found that really counterintuitive. But luckily they've got rid of all their shapes now and they've gone back to numbers. And as we can see on here, this little parallelogram, or well, what type of trapezoid, has a 1 on this side for 1 inch, a 2 on this side for 2 inch, and a 3 on this side for 3 inch. This long piece here has a 6 on it and is 6 inches long. It's got the nice little marks on it. I suspect in the game you generally use 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch and 6 inch as your general measurements. 6 inch I imagine is going to be the standard move, 1 inch will be engagement range or something, and then the other ones will be for various things that we'll find out in the rulebook. But they're nice solid plastic movement gauges. They're nice and small. Because it's quite a tight compact game, you can't always get in there with a tape measure, so having a small thing you can just put in the space, really helpful. And these look quite fun to paint up. Paint that all up with skulls, stick a bit of brass around the side of it, that'll look great. We've finished with the instruction booklet. Let's see what is next. So we have our token sheets. Let's see what's on here. We don't know what they're all used for as yet, but they all look really nice, solid tokens. That's one of the good things. I don't know if any of you have played Legions Imperialis, which is the replacement epic small-scale 30k game. One of the complaints about that game, which overall is known as a great game, but one of the complaints is the tokens that the game came with were really subpar. They were very thin, very flimsy, not very interesting to look at. These are proper, thick, chunky tokens, really nice clear art on the top of them. Yeah, much better. Glad to see they've upped their game on that. Various tokens, I suspect you'll put them down for all kinds of things. It looks like there's probably some mission tokens here. Looks like there's various different kind of like ways of tracking whether you've been wounded, whether you're on Overwatch, whether you've hit different targets. And it's nice to see they've also given you 2 more range rulers there as well. So that's really helpful if you're playing with, obviously, friends. That's what we want to be doing. If you've just got one set, you can each have a set of range rulers. So really nice there. Well thought out. Okay, so now we have the Hivestorm dossier. I think we're going to look at this one first. So this one, I suspect, let's have a look in here. This one is giving us the rules for the Tempestus Aquilons and the Vespid Stingwings. And let's see what else it's got in it. So it's giving us a load of fluff about those two particular teams, and I think it's probably giving us a load of fluff about the area that we're playing in, the Hivestorm, as it were. So it sets it all up, gives you different names for various ones there. Yeah, it's going through a few different paint schemes. I really like these ones down here with a beret on. You've got some winter snow ones, lava ones. Really nice looking. Going through those, then a bit similar about the Vespid Stingwings. Goes through telling you all the different operatives you can have. And then this is helping us build a team, I suspect. That's what it's telling us here. One of the things that they do is, and this is a really, I wish they'd do this with all their games, obviously it only takes time to digitize all these things and to port the game over, but you see it has a QR code here. If I wasn't using my camera on my phone to film this, I would scan in the QR code so we could see exactly where it took us. But I'm pretty sure that it will take us to their website and it will have updated rules for how to make the kill teams, because the building rules for this is all online, and so they'll always be up to date. You can always just go to their website using their QR code nicely there to quickly go to, and updated rules will be there because they're intending this to be a balanced tournament game. They are going to keep the rules up to date, keep rebalancing them if problems arrive, doing FAQs. Now, some people don't like it when companies do that. If you're just a casual gamer, having to go online, check rules and stuff before you play a game can be a pain in the arse, we all know that. But if you're a tournament gamer, you want stuff to be balanced. You want, if there's a problem that arises where some of the rules they've written don't interact with another rule, or some of the rules are just pure broken, that you want it fixed, and they have said that that's what they'll be doing. As a 40k player, they're doing an amazing job in 40k at the minute of balancing the game. There are updates every 3 months, and you have to keep up with those if you want to play it as a tournament game. But if you do keep up with them, the rules are really tight and really well balanced now, which is great to see. So this, they have said that they'll be doing so. They're going to keep a load of historic rules for various teams that go out of print, but you'll always be able to use those, and they've also said they will keep them updated. They just won't be legal for some of the big tournaments. So this is all our stat blocks we have here. Nice, clearly laid out pages, giving your action points, movement, your save, your wounds. You can tell this is very different to 40k. We have a standard fighter here with 8 wounds. So that's a lot for a basic human. All the stats for their guns. Gives you range in inches. It doesn't say range pentagram. It has range 8 inches, and then special rules on the back of that. And some of them have special rules there. Your commander has a command rule. So they're all the different people you can take for that team. Interestingly, got a designer's commentary bit here telling you how they think the game should play. It's got equipment laid out here, so that's showing you some of the tokens are used for some of the pieces of equipment. And then we have very similar for the Vespid Stingwings. Stratagems here, firefight ploys, whatever they may be, and then your stat cards for those. Here we go. So now we have missions. Now, whether these are bespoke missions only to be played between these particular kill teams, I'm not sure. Here we go. So we're looking at giving you a nice map key. So what this is telling me is that you should be building the terrain in the box exactly as they lay it out and as it's designed, because it looks like they're using those particular pieces to lay out on the maps. So here we go. Got a nice clear diagram here, full A4 page, showing you exactly where all the different pieces of the terrain should be placed. Then you've got setup zones, really nice. So that's really good like that. And I wonder how many missions there are. So let's quickly count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 missions. I suspect it will be 6 because that is the number on a D6, so you can randomly roll. And interestingly, you look down the side here, it says Airborne Assault Mission Pack 3C. Secure Extraction Site, which is the name of the mission. So it looks like they will no doubt be bringing out various different mission packs you can play with. I suspect they may come with similar terrain sets to be built up. So you roll up. If you've got that terrain set, you can deploy that mission and off you go. Nice to see that they are not just pure symmetrical things. Like you can see the defense here has half the battlefield, whereas the offense starts a small bit there. I always like a more varied and interesting missions and setups. Similar on this one. This one's really interesting. The offense and defense start next to each other. I suspect it will be a case of one trying to move through the other to get to the other side. Who knows? Really interesting missions here. There's only one that looks like it is just set up and fight. Yeah, this one is the only one that has a symmetrical setup. Really nice to see. Makes for more interesting missions that way. If you like playing just a simple firefight, you've got this one here, or you can just set up a table and start 6 inches in. That's easy enough to do. But if you're looking for something a bit more bespoke and a bit more interesting, looks like they've got you covered in this book. So that is that book. A bit thicker than you'd think for what it contains, which is 6 missions and the rules for 2 kill teams, but there's obviously the fluff in there and such. So that's that book. So then we move on to, I'm going to actually go on to the cards next before going into the rule book, because I suspect the cards may well go with that box that the book we've just looked through. So in here we have TAC-op cards, Crit-op cards, and Primary op cards. Interesting. We've got some map layouts here. Kill Team Volcus. Let's unfold this one. Interesting. So that's showing us a load more maps that can be made up with the terrain in the box. And all of these are standard symmetrical kind of like deployments. Yep, 3 lengthways, 3 widthways there. Really nice. That's a nice simple way of giving you some more battlefields you can lay out using the terrain in the box. And on the other side, I wonder what's on this side. These ones look like, this is Killzone Gallowdark. So this is referring to previous boxes they've released. So Gallowdark was the kind of like internal starship fighting box they released. So they've given you some more maps you can make up with the terrain in that. That's really handy. So we've got that there. Put those with that. And then I suspect this is going to be the same, but for a couple of other ones. Yeah, so we've got Kill Team Beta Decima. I'm not sure that's how you say beta. B-H-E-T-A. Not how I'd spell beta, but... And we have non-specific Killzone maps. So this is just giving you layouts of objectives and deployment zones to make it so the objectives are fairly spaced for the deployment zones. And then you can throw the terrain down any way you fancy. All useful stuff. Nice quick references. Didn't need to throw that in, but that's nice to have. Let's look at the front side of these cards. Here we go. Approved Ops game system. So you set up the battle. You select your operatives on both sides. You set up your operatives. Scout out, play the battle, and end the battle. It's got nice, clear things here to follow on how to do stuff. Scouting step 1, equip. Scouting step 2, deploy. Ploy. Scouting step 3, reposition. It's got some of the stuff you're going to need there. Map key. Not sure these all need to be on bits of card, but I suppose useful to have there. And not sure. This, I knowing what this is now. This is going to be for the single player mode or the cooperative mode. That's what Approved Ops is. So one of the things that this Kill Team box is coming in, one of the things I've forgotten about but was actually quite excited about, is that it has a single player or co-op mode where the enemies are controlled by an AI system. Where basically you'll either draw cards or roll dice to see what they need to do, and there'll be a little flow chart to follow to see what they do. So this deck is no doubt to go with that. So this is obviously a way of scoring, I would think, or a difficulty chart if you want. And then these are going to be, so these are going to be the things you do. I expect you need to draw these cards on your turns. I don't really have time to read through it all now to tell you exactly how it works, but I suspect that's what is going to happen. So this first one, for instance, mission action. Secure objective marker the active operative controls is secured by your kill team until the enemy kill team secures that objective marker. And then you gain points depending on how long you manage to hold them for. These ones look like they are ones you can reveal, because they've each got a reveal condition, and when you do it you can gain victory points if you do certain things. And these ones look like you reveal these when you first score them, so I think these are maybe either hidden or special objectives you can draw mid-game. This looks really interesting. This is going to need a bit more reading into, but the single player part of the game is a real appeal, because I mean, I've tried in the past playing 40k single player. I wrote some rules myself for it, but it's big and it's a bit complex to do. If they've managed to master it in this, I mean, it's a difficult thing to do, is master a single player mode for a multiplayer adversarial game. But if they manage to even come close to doing a good job of it, I can see a lot of people having a lot of fun with that, because getting your friends around to have a game of something can sometimes be challenging. But just breaking it out on the table late at night when your family's gone to bed, much easier. Okay, we come to the last thing in the box, which is the rulebook. Refreshingly, not that thick. So we're just going to flick through this and see what kind of thing we've got. So it's got the standard bit at the start, which is telling you how to collect and play miniatures games. Most people watching this won't need that kind of section, but for somebody who's picked this up as a present or has just decided to dive in, that can be really helpful and can give some useful tips. Gives you a little bit about Dark Imperium, so it's giving you some fluff on the setting. Again, veteran gamers know exactly what's happening in 40k, but new gamers won't know so much. Then we have how many pages of rules. We've got about 40 pages of rules. That's a fair few, but not an overly large amount. Then we have missions, so it's telling you how to use that pack we just opened. And then at the back, we've got an index. We've got kill zone, kind of like descriptions, weapon rules, and markers and token guide. So let's quickly flip through. Amazing art, as you can always expect from a Games Workshop supplement. Got the welcome to bit there. Pictures of people enjoying the game. I always find these pictures a little funny because you often think to yourself, have these people ever played the game? But I suppose if somebody told me, pose there for a picture and pretend you're playing, I'm not sure I'd do any better. Here we go. So it's breaking it down. I want to see how the rules are actually laid out. Again, I always go back to 40k as my touchstone when describing things like this. And the current rules of 40k, the rulebook is really nicely laid out, giving you really cool, kind of like, it describes the rules in quite a lot of detail, but then at the bottom of each page, it gives you really nice little breakdown boxes that just give you the bullet points of what those rules are actually telling you. More lovely pictures here. These are actual pictures of models, but they're really good. This may not pick up on camera that well, but they've got some really cool effects going on in these pictures, whether they're just from lights or whether they're special effects they've added to the pictures afterwards. But this one in particular, I'm going to move it a bit closer, see if it'll pick up. It might be too much glare, but this one looks awesome. It's got the Night Lords attacking some Kroot there, and there's kind of like chaos light and warp energy spilling out of the corridor. Looks brilliant, really nice. Okay, the rules. Here we go. Big, clear writing. It's what we like. It's got these little side panels here which kind of like break out usually exceptions to rules or specific rules that come up. Here we go. Firefight phase. Determine initiative. Use various tokens to say what you're doing, it looks like. Actions you can do. So from my limited knowledge of Kill Team 2nd edition, this is definitely heavily based on that. Each operative has at least one action, and then the more powerful operatives, things like custodians, will have up to 3 actions, and then different actions cost you different AP points to do. So nice system, gives you lots of options to do on your turn, and it's just a really nice system the way it works. Going through, rules look really nicely clear. There are 80 pages of rules, but it's not like these... 40 pages of rules, but it's not like it's a densely packed A4 page of rule here. Here you've got 2 paragraphs or 2 sets of paragraphs here explaining rolling attack dice and resolving attack dice, and then half the page is taken up with a big piece of art. So it's not like there's a massive density of rules to read through here to get stuff. Key principles of cover. Breaks down how a data card works. Yeah, just standard rules. Gives really nice clear movement and terrain examples. I really like it when they show you pictures of what they mean. Sometimes, especially with terrain can be very nebulous as to how it works. So putting a nice clear picture with measurements built in is a really good way of getting your point across. So it's going through all the different types of terrain and how they interact, showing you large ruins, small ruins, rubble. There we go. Nice, because Gallo Dark was the last kill team to be released, or the last kill zone to be released, it looks like they've gone into quite some depth for the rules for that here, which is nice to see that they haven't just gone, well, we've released that, you've already bought it, won't worry about supporting that. And similar with the Beta Decima, which is I think it was a kill zone set above the sea. Lots of elevated platforms, so it looks like they've covered that in quite a lot of detail as well, which is really good. It's giving you some advice for setting up kill zones. And here it's explaining how the mission pack works. It's giving you, again, lots of the stuff that we saw on those cards appears to be reprinted in the book, which is good because you don't want to accidentally lose a card and then not being able to do anything. Here is the Joint Ops mission pack. So this is explaining how the cooperative mode works. And this is, here we go. So we're going to have a closer look at this bit here. So it looks like the way they're working stuff is each NPC or enemy model is looking like it will have a behaviour type. So on here we have Brawler and Marksman. I suspect close combat and shooting. And then it goes through, it's got a little list of what it does. It fights, it charges, it repositions, and it dashes. And then it has a thing called Threat Principles, which is going to tell you what it considers its threat. So whether it's closest model with a gun, closest model in the open, that kind of stuff. And then it looks like we have some more things about how we shoot. Shoot action against multiple enemy operatives viable. It shoots the enemy operative that has, and then it goes through not obscured, not in cover, an objective marker in its control range, the closest, the woundest is ready. So it's got a way of picking out which of the possible targets it has. So then it has a few kind of like generic ones down here. So you've got a trooper, a tough and a heavy, a trooper, a warrior and a heavy. And therefore the brawler and the marksman types. So not massively in depth. To be fair, I would have liked it to be a bit more in depth than that. But I suspect it's a thing that you can either add stuff on yourself. You could easily make some more in-depth versions of these cards yourself. But it does look like it is literally 1, 2, 3 pages to show you how the NPCs work. So whether that's enough, only playing it would tell us. But we shall have to wait and see. Then it's just going through a load of missions to use with the Gallo Dark stuff. Excellent. These are the joint operations missions to use with the Gallo Dark terrain. Really nice to see. And then we have a load of kind of like descriptions of what would be what in different armies. So it's showing us troopers could be things like Canoptek swarms, Death Guard poxwalkers, Hormigants, whereas warriors would be Kassakin, Nequam warriors, Admech Skitari, and then the heavies are things like Tyranid warriors, Aberrants, Intercessors, World Eater, Marines, that kind of thing. So it's just breaking down what you would use those troops as. Okay, and then we've got a few more mission packs setting up different missions to play here, and even more. This is showing you some, looks like, really big ones. So, while the rules might be quite simple, they've put a lot of support in the book for actually playing them, which is quite good, because if you're playing a single-player game, you want it to have some replayability. You don't want each one to be exactly the same. Okay, this looks like, again, it's going into what's found on those cards. And then we have the appendix. An index. Always a useful thing in a reasonably packed rulebook. You need to find something. Let's think of something. Let's say cover. Let's have a quick just test the thing. So cover, page 47. Cover save, page 43. Nice things to look up. And then here it's giving you a key for how you set up the terrain using the mission cards. Okay, and that is nearly the end. All the different weapon rules. Last page of the book, that's where you want it to be, so there's 0 flipping to find what it does, and you've also got your game sequence. So this looks like this would be an excellent page to have the book set open to, so you know what you're doing. And last is telling you what all the tokens do. Okay, that is the end of this box. I am going to have a bit more of a read through this book. I'm actually pretty excited about this. That is a lot of stuff. I'm not sure what the exact price point of this box is, but you'll be able to get it discounted kind of 20% off recommended retail price from a load of your standard suppliers. And there is a massive amount in here. All of that terrain buying separately would cost a fortune. I know that the Imperial Guard models, they are well sought after at the minute. You've got all the tokens, you've got all the rules you need, because they're all in the rule book. Any of the kill teams you want to use, you just go onto their website. There's this little thing on the back of the box, 3 kill team rules. So you just scan that in, it will take you to there, and they have said that they have put up new updated rules for all of the kill teams they've released, and they'll be keeping those updated as they go forward. They'll be doing seasons, so some of the kill teams may not be able to be used in the current tournament season, but they will all have updated rules if they have been released as an actual kill team product. Some things like there was an old Space Marine team you could just make up with the models you had kicking around, were never released as a kill team, so they are not going to have supported rules because they're trying to make this its own product. But anything that's actually been released as a kill team product will have supported rules for it. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you pick this up and give it a try. Let us know if you do. I'd be really interested for any reports of what has happened if you have tried playing the single player or co-op mode, because that's one of the things that really interests me. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good day.
If you're still here and you're looking for ways to support the channel, there's obviously a lot of ways down in the description, but a key way is to use our affiliate links to Whaling Games and others. You buy your models from them, it doesn't cost you a penny more, and we earn a little bit of commission. Thank you.